Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ramasia. I'm the acting CEO of South African Airways. I would like to first thank you for accepting the invitation at the shortest time possible. It was important for South African Airways to have this press briefing with you in order to give context to what has been developing throughout the few days of the strike. We have decided that the most effective way to communicate with you is to give context and by congregating here so that we address the following pertinent topics: safety and security, update you on the discussion with labor, and also talk about the call on the secondary strike that has been called, and also update you on the operational update. Let's start with safety and security. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important to tell you, or South Africans, that the safety and security of our customers, our aircraft, our crew, and our employees is of paramount importance to us as South African Airways. SAA calls on the South African Cabin Crew Association, which I'll refer to going forward as SACA, and the National Union of Metals Workers of South Africa, which I will refer to going forward as NUMSA, to retract the untruthful and unfounded statements and allegations that the flying through the national carrier is unsafe. That is untrue, and we need them to retract that statement. SAA has a proven record of safety that was so committed and were unwavering about the safety of the airline, the passengers, the crew, and the staff. The safety and security of our passengers and crew is the highest single most priority for us, for all of us in South African Airways. So we can never, and we don't intend to compromise on that. For example, we are the first airline in the world to train our pilots on what we call upset recovery training. And our instructors train airlines around the world on this. Let me explain quickly what it is. What it means is that when this training, it arms the crew, or it prepares the crew if there's a loss in flight, then what happens is the crew are able to recover any loss in flight when they're flying. So it's one of the single most important training for all our pilots, and our pilots were the first in the world to be trained on that, and they give the service to other airlines. We remain committed to ensuring the highest level of safety and security on all our flights. So there's no single flight that will leave base or any other station without having been assured that it's safe by the crew themselves, by the pilots, by the engineers, by following our stringent procedures to ensure that we are safe at all times. So safety is non-negotiable. It's a priority for South African Airways. The unions have alleged, and I think it is very malicious for them to attack the airline and say that our passengers mustn't fly the airline, because we take that as an insult to the Civil Aviation Authority of South Africa. Not only that, because they are our regulators, but we don't only get regulated by the Civil Aviation Authority. We also get regulated by the countries that we fly into. So therefore, it is really an insult to all the regulators, because what happens on board is that they can come on any aircraft and ask the licenses of the crew. Now, why would we put our crew through that, or put crew that are not qualified? It's one of the pre-flight checks that happens in the briefing rooms, where the senior on board, there's the senior cabin crew member, will check the validity of the license of each and every cabin crew member before they get on board. So because we take safety as a priority. It is important to state that SAA is mindful of its obligation to comply with all the regulations and continue to ensure safe and secure operations. SAA, therefore, will never deviate from this, because it is important to us. We put on board the required level of personnel including the oversight, post holders, and necessary compliance training during the strike and even in the absence of strike. We ensure that you've got the correct personnel. Therefore, each and every aircraft that leaves here will leave with the safety complement that is required for them to operate. We can never compromise on that. It's just not in our makeup to do something like that. We therefore call on NUMSA and SACA to retract this untrue and unfounded allegation with immediate effect. If they fail to do so, we'll consider taking legal action. It's important that they have to retract this. Would never put our long-established reputation at risk, because this is what we're known for, that we care about safety. Therefore, nobody will make us to waver from that. The safety of our customer is always prime, and it is our primary responsibility. Let's talk about our flight deck crew, cabin crew, technicians who are highly qualified. We pride ourselves as SAA on producing the world-class and highly trained pilots, cabin crew members, as well as technicians. This is further evidenced by the fact that many of the airlines are always recruiting from South African Airways. As you know, that if you fly, I'm sure people who fly like with Emirates and in other airlines, you'd hear that voice, the South African voice on those airlines. You know why? Nobody wants to get people who have substandard, who are known for being the best in class. Hence, all airlines, they want to recruit from South African Airways. SAA pilots currently train other pilots on safety procedures. Many airlines across the world has SAA pilots in their training structures. It's something that we pride ourselves with. And therefore, it is important to know that SAA pilots are not on strike. It's very important. So all flights that are departing, starting with the one that started in the morning to Sao Paulo, it was crewed by SAA pilots that are highly qualified. So we didn't even have trainee pilots on those flights in any ways. SAA trained cabin crew members, and all of them meet the CAA requirements as well as the requirements of the countries that we fly to, as I've already mentioned before. SAA aircrafts go through rigorous inspection as prescribed by the regulations. Let's also talk about what has recently happened with this intimidation of employees. SAA further condemns the intimidation of employees who have decided on their own to come to work. Let us be clear, describing some of our employees as traitors and threatening that we know where you are will not be tolerated by South African Airways. We will always protect our employees, and when they choose or exercise their right to come to work, we will make sure that they are protected, because they are putting our customers first. So it is important that it is noted that we will do everything to make sure that you protect our cabin crew or any staff who choose on their own to come and work. The airline will not tolerate those seeking to intimidate those who are wishing to report for duty. Employees who intimidate or assault other employees or cause damage to SAA property or engage in any criminal activities or act of misconduct may be liable for criminal charges or prosecution, and as well will invoke the appropriate disciplinary processes that we do internally. And if it means we have to make you to be arrested, we'll do so. We'll go to any length to protect anybody who needs our protection. Therefore, our employees are encouraged to immediately report any acts of intimidation, and they can actually, there's a hotline that they can use, a security hotline. It's 011-978-1018. Security personnel are at all the gates at the parking areas, and we have increased them to ensure that we are vigilant. We've also asked the SABC to assist us to ensure that there's enough vigilance, to ensure that employees and their vehicles are safe, including monitoring all the access points or roads leading to Airways Park. Striking is a personal choice. No one should be pressured by union or any other person to participate in a strike. It's a personal choice. Also, we mentioned that we'd like to update you on the discussion with the labor. The CCMA met with the company and the unions yesterday, Saturday being 16 November, in terms of Section 150, process following SAA request to the commissioner or to the CCMA so that they can come and mediate on the salary increment impasse between SAA, SACA, NUMSA, and NTM. The commissioner from the CCMA ended a long day's proceeding last night, tasking the company to consider options on the way forward, and the company will then revert to the commissioner in due course. So we are considering the intervention because the commissioner was here, gave us options, and we are considering the options that were provided to us. The commissioners will then reconvene the discussion between the parties that we have met with them yesterday. Let's talk about the demands by NUMSA and SACA. Since NUMSA and SACA gave SAA 48 hours notice to strike on Tuesday, 12 November 2019, their demands have been amended 3 times already. The company has written 2 letters to these unions requesting clarity on what exactly they are demanding on behalf of their members, to ensure that there is no confusion from us or uncertainty. Yesterday, they relayed their demands to the commissioner of the CCMA. NUMSA and SACA have demanded an 8% salary increase. This is the only lawful demand made by NUMSA and SACA under the current strike notice. So what is our position as SAA? The company has advised that the airline cannot afford to pay any salary increase. However, it has offered the unions a 5.9 salary increase effective in March 2020 pay month. In addition, the company will pay the first 6 months back pay from 1st of April 2019 to 30th September 2019 in March 2020. And the remaining 6 months back pay in April 2020, provided that SAA has received funds to do so. The company has repeatedly communicated the precarious financial position of the company, the negative and the dire ramification that the company and, by implication, each and every employee would be exposed to by the employees engaging in the industrial action. When you strike, we invoke that you strike and you don't get paid, basically. So everybody, it's been communicated to everyone. What is the impact of the strike to South African Airways? We again wish to reiterate that the intended strike action will have a serious financial implication to the company. We urge the unions to reconsider the strike, which will without doubt place SAA's future in jeopardy. Please appreciate the fatal damage to SAA unless there's a resolution to this dispute. And we'll also address the call for a secondary strike and its implication. SAA is definitely concerned about NUMSA's intention to start consultation with sectors that are playing in the aviation space to go on strike. The intent of a secondary strike is to cause disruption, bring all airports to a halt, and create huge damage to South African economy. NUMSA has also called SATAU and NTM to join the strike. So a secondary strike, ladies and gentlemen, will affect the competitiveness of South African economy as a whole, because what it means is that it will ground aviation to a halt, and when it does that, it doesn't mean that aviation outside South Africa will happen and come to South Africa. So basically, it is ground to hold our economy, whereas other countries can come to South Africa and continue the aviation activity. And yet those countries are not the one who are primary into employing South Africans. It is South African Airways and all the aviation carriers in South Africa that will be affected by the secondary strike. I would also like to give an operational update, ladies and gentlemen. We are pleased to announce that SAA 222 to Sao Paulo, from OR Tambo to Sao Paulo, which was scheduled to operate on Sunday this morning, is now airborne as we speak, en route to Brazil. So it means this, our staff are committed and they wanted to be part of turning around the airline. They decided that we are going to be there and we're going to fly to ensure that Springbok stays airborne, and bravo to them. The return flight from Sao Paulo to OR Tambo International Airport is expected to operate as scheduled and arrive in Johannesburg or OR Tambo on Monday morning. The other 5 international departures from OR Tambo International Airport on Sunday, 17 November 2019, were flights to New York, London, Frankfurt, Munich, Washington, D.C. via Accra. I think Washington has already pushed back, or it's airborne actually. So it's a second flight that is airborne from a committed staff of South African Airways. The first departures from OR Tambo to Perth and Hong Kong are expected to operate as scheduled from Monday, 18 November 2019. SAA's departure from its international station on Monday, 18 November 2019 include London, New York, Washington via Accra, Munich, Frankfurt. They will all be leaving the outstation to return to OR Tambo, fully crewed with qualified crew members on board and pilots, and are expected to arrive on Tuesday, 19 November 2019. Now, they will be questioned that what do passengers do? Passengers are advised to report to the departure airport as normal when in possession of a confirmed itinerary. SAA domestic and regional flight remained cancelled, so we are operating the international as is. SAA has been working with its subsidiary airline, Mango, as well as the sister airline, which is SAA Express, to reaccommodate as many customers as possible traveling on the domestic network or domestic route. Depending on availability, customers traveling to regional stations are being reaccommodated on SAA Airlink, which is a partner airline to South African Airways, and other airlines where possible, we accommodate them. Of course, we would like to apologize profusely to all our valued customers for the inconvenience and the frustration caused by the cancellation of flights as a result of the ongoing industrial action. We hope all our customers understand that the cancellation have been beyond our control. We pledge to rebook all passengers caught up in the flight cancellation. We are working hard to ensure that we please everybody. We ensure that the flights resume, and all our international flights have already started flying. Customers that are required to be refunded or wishing to rebook their travel on future SAA services have until 30th November 2019 to finalize this arrangement. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.